This is the Heavy, who throughout TF2's history has been built as the quote-unquote mascot for the game. Both Valve and the broadened community feature him so often that it reaches a point where even if you don't know anything about this absolutely neuron-melting game, there is a good chance you at least somewhat know who the Heavy is. Just like real celebrities, however, fame is proven to be meaningless. Underneath his reputation as a social icon, the Heavy has a huge problem. There are many matches you'll play within TF2 where a Heavy barely makes up the composition of your team and somehow manages to be the least played class. There's lots of evidence out there that suggests this, and I was even able to make a more recent confirmation myself by surveying over 1,000 players that I'd come across in games. Based on this data, TF2's mascot had a staggering 7.8% pick rate, being the only class played less than 100 times, and it's not even close. Even Medic, the support that everyone thinks is extinct, beat Heavy by a landslide. But how is such an anomaly even possible considering how popular he is? Well, by looking into the three main arguments that most people have against the class, perhaps it could provide the answer to how one of PC gaming's most familiar faces fades so easily behind the others. Now let's jump right into... wait, what? Between grinding video games and editing videos, I could spend hours at a time at my PC. And there is very little during these long sessions that irritates me more than an uncomfortable chair. Get this thing out of here. Thankfully, this video's sponsor, FlexiSpot, came to my aching back's rescue with their new C7 Max Office Chair. One of the most adjustable office products, from its tiltable headrest, height-adjusting backrest, and customizable 5D armrest, along with many relieving features from the professional design that supports more of your back, and a memory foam seat cushion that makes sitting feel like a vacation. I really think in the short time I've used it so far, the C7 Max has not only improved my old man back, but has massively improved the way I work at my desk by making it as comfortable and as ergonomic as possible. So if you need the cheat code to a better workplace environment, check out the C7 Max, their more budget-friendly C5, or the newly upgraded C7 Morpher on the FlexiSpot website, or through the link in the description below. You can use code C750 to get $50 off your first purchase, and if you feel skeptical, FlexiSpot provides a 30-day risk-free trial, so there's no need to guess if it's right for you, and a 10-year warranty. I really recommend checking it out if you're interested, and thank you FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video. Moving into argument number 1, the Heavy is boring. Boring. Obviously, calling something boring in a video game is completely based on personal opinion. Not everyone's going to agree with you if you said speedrunning to the enemy team's spawn to camp them is fun. But this is something that's said a lot, and you can kind of start to see why that is when you start comparing him to what the player base is actually playing. Heavy, to describe him in simplest terms, is primarily defensive. The game itself even likes to slap that word on him too. Your goal is to focus on slowing the team fight down and denying enemies from easily entering key areas, or to be the big meaty damage sponge that grabs everyone's attention, so the light classes on your team can find openings to do their thing. He has high health, situationally high damage, and is ridiculously slow, both gameplay-wise, because literally everything he does takes time, and movement-wise. I don't think I need to explain this one. All of these are qualities that together make him TF2's one real tank class. Now to compare, let's reel back in the results from my 1,000-player survey, where the top 3 most played classes, being Soldier, Scout, and Pyro, represented nearly half of the player base. All 3 of them are very similar in the sense they are each considered to be offense or frontline classes, with them having access to tools that specialize in dealing very upfront damage, and tons of different additional movement techniques that make playing against any of them feel like you're tackling a flock of birds. Get down from there! From Soldier's aerial splash damage and rocket jumping capabilities, to Scout's extra speed and double jumps aiding in one-on-one encounters, to Pyro's crowd control ability and wide selection of strong weapon combos, they are all classes specifically meant to deal lots of damage and get picks fast. And this is where Heavy's first major issue comes from. His tanky playstyle is probably not very appealing to the game's majority, who clearly prefer prefer a quick DPS character, which if you've played any mainstream hero shooter game before, this might sound like a pretty familiar situation. Tanks across the entire genre are known to be the least popular role. They aren't as notably flashy or constantly overdrivingly stimulating as many damage characters are, and they don't have a direct utility purpose like support characters do. They're kind of just there to make everyone shoot at them and take all the ability bullying that comes their way, which for heavy looks like a whole lot of headshots and a whole lot of backstabs. So it's not that Heavy is specifically designed to be a boring class, he just happens to fulfill the one role that appeals the least to most of the hero shooter audience, which especially for people migrating from other games to TF2, leads to them favoring the other damage characters over the Heavy. Argument number 2, the Heavy is linear. And before you mathematicians come at me, no, I don't mean geometrically linear. I can clearly see he isn't shaped like a line. What I really mean is how linear his selection of weapons are, which is probably one of my personal biggest critiques about the class. Part of the reason why TF2 is such a refreshing game, even for its age, is the sheer variety in just how much you can customize the gameplay of each class just by equipping different weapons. You can make one simple weapon switch for Scout, and now playing him turns into a mini-game where you're rewarded with extreme speed by dodging damage, or another that functions completely differently from stock and lets you jump a million times. For Spy, he owns knives that can steal people's identity, or even gives you an astounding career opportunity in sculpting. But what does Heavy have? Well, he's got a real big minigun that shoots bullets. The same thing, but it shoots slowness bullets. The same thing, but it shoots better bullets. The same thing, but it's quieter. Or the same thing, but it deters spies. Except it doesn't actually deter spies. The only fully unique and slightly differentiating weapon type that Heavy owns are his food items. And let's just say those aren't exactly the most entertaining weapons in the world to use. Another thing that makes Heavy feel very linear is the zero combo potential between his primary and other weapons. I mean, in most fight scenarios, the timing from going revved to fist fight ready is just unrealistic. And this is the kind of thing that leads you to using only your minigun in like 90% of encounters. Regardless of what other weapons you have equipped, it feels like playing Heavy is the exact same way most of the time, unless you force yourself to play him differently, like going shotgun only, which can be funny. And while it isn't necessarily a bad thing to have a class that's consistent like this, I can see why Heavy's complete lack of variety in his weapons can definitely be something that draws people away from the class. And this is, amongst other things, an easier fix that can improve Heavy so much. Just give the class more unique weapons, but it never has been fully fixed, which leads us to argument number 3. The Heavy is left behind. Every class in TF2, yes, even you, Sniper, deserves a chance to be in the spotlight, which was something we used to see all the time when updates used to give classes new weapons and balance changes, further improving their in-game identity. Even at this point, though, there were only 2 updates in TF2's entire history where Heavy was given some level of spotlight. One of which being the Heavy update, or a Heavy update, released all the way back in 2008. But really, all this did for him was give him some weapons that don't really address the linear issue, and the entire rest of the content was about implementing the arena mode, so it really wasn't much about Heavy at all. The other update in question, Meet Your Match, however, had the potential to finally change things to Heavy's benefit when Valve announced a public vote to choose which of the game's most trivial classes at the time would receive a massive content stream. Would it be Heavy, who for years has needed something to add variety to his gameplay, or Pyro, who was pretty much completely functional broken? So that's probably why he won. And Pyro's victory, though it was very much needed, was also a missed opportunity to finally give Heavy that spotlight. And it's such an odd situation where balance-wise Heavy is actually pretty well established, which I think is the reason Valve has always been so hesitant on letting him be different. But for years now, he has been the face that promotes people to play the game, though even since the very beginning, there hasn't been anything within the game that promotes people to play the class. Heavy being unchanged since the start, his linear weapon selection, and his nature of fulfilling the most barren role in all of hero shooters are each valid potential reasons to why he's the least played class. If there is one important thing to take from this video though, this 7.8% is low, but it's not 0. While Heavies might be rare, they aren't non-existent. And there are Heavy players and mains out there who are pretty happy with where he is now. Which is why, like I said at the beginning, saying, a lot of things in video games come down to personal opinion. From mowing people down to dishing absolute violence onto someone, there's still a lot of fun to be had while playing heavy. He's a very strong class, so just because he happens to be at the bottom of a list, it's just more of an observation, rather than it really meaning that people who play him like classes that are bad. I can't speak on behalf of you guys though. And who knows, maybe the looming MVM update behind me might actually do something new for him and give the title of least played to a different class for once. Wouldn't that be nice, engineer? Wouldn't that be nice? But otherwise, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope all of you had a wonderful holiday, and I seriously appreciate all the recent support and suggestions I've received about possible next videos. It really does mean a lot to me, and your words are what keeps this channel going. Thank you as well once again to FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video. The discount code and link to their website will be in the description below, and I will see you all in the next silly little video I make. Bye-bye.